Ever had that one guilty pleasure series that you really like, but deep inside you're kind of embarrassed that you enjoy? I guess when I was younger, that would have described the entire anime and manga genre for me. People would ask, "What's your hobby?" And I would go, "Uh, reading." Because it was embarrassing to let people know that I was so into manga. Fast forward to recent years, and it's now cool to read manga and watch anime. When someone asks me, "Hey, do you watch Demon Slayer?" I can go, "Oh yeah," when I read the manga a few years back. It was great. Flexing the large amount of time I spent reading manga instead of doing something more productive with my life. But the Guilty Pleasure series hasn't gone away. They've just been narrowed down to a few specific series. My current Guilty Pleasure is the webtoon Lookism. When any of my friends ask me for recommendations, I would tell them to try either the more mainstream stuff like My Hero Academia or Tower of God, or maybe the more obscure but respectable series like Liar Game or Red Storm. I would never, ever, ever recommend Lookism. But the moment I receive a new update for Lookism, I am dropping everything to read the next chapter, before I read the chapters of any other series. So what is Lookism? Lookism is a Korean webtoon written and illustrated by Park Tae-jun. The main character is Kang Daniel, an overweight high schooler who gets bullied by all his classmates. His life sucks, he has no friends, no money, no love life. Out of desperation, he transfers to a vocational school to escape his bullies. Right before the transfer, he wakes up and finds himself in a new body, one that is sexy. Think Jungkook from BTS. He can also switch between his new body and his old one by going to sleep in one and waking up in the other. Like every teenager wishing he could be somebody else, he decides to use his new body in his new school. And this kicks off the ridiculous story of Lookism. The plot of Lookism is relatively straightforward. It starts off as a gag series, with Daniel being put in unfamiliar situations due to his newfound good looks. Then, it transforms into a battle series as Daniel discovers that his new body is basically a cheat code and makes him a phenomenal fighter. The series is littered with pretty boys who can fight, so Daniel is never short of any opponents. Eventually, he forms a party with his friends as they confront different unsavory characters together. Wait, new environment, new body, new abilities, forming a party to defeat the bad guys. Is Lookism an isekai? So, with such a generic plotline, what makes Lookism stand out to me? The first most obvious thing is that I find Lookism hilarious. I could be reading a chapter on the train and suddenly go, which, as we all know, is the pinnacle reaction you can get from your audience online. I don't know much about comedy, and I have no idea how to explain what makes a joke work, so I shall not try. But Lookism is silly, over the top, and does not take itself too seriously, always giving me a good laugh. Next, Lookism creates extremely lovable characters. I want to take extra time here to differentiate between characters that I love and lovable characters. Do I love the character Light from Death Note? Yes. Is he lovable? Absolutely not. Lovable characters are those you want to give a big hug and take home with you. Basically any character from Gaku and Babysitters. Lookism has these lovable characters in spades, although it's all the side characters instead of Daniel. Lovable character 1. Zack. Zack is a talented boxer with violent tendencies who looks and dresses like a player. However, during the series we find that he's actually a devoted guy who turns into a puppy when his crush, Mira, is around. It's really funny watching this good-looking, confident man just pull everything out of his arsenal to desperately get his girl's attention. Also, midway through the series, Mira finds a baby girl who got lost. Zack starts taking care of the girl, and what follows is an adorable sequence of Zack bonding with this little ball of sunshine. Lovable character 2. Jay. Jay is a mysterious loner who is exceedingly wealthy. He keeps to himself most of the time and has not said a single word throughout the series. For some reason, Jay takes a liking to Daniel but is too shy to say anything, so he just starts doing things for Daniel. He buys Daniel new expensive clothes, but tells Daniel it's cheap so Daniel will accept it. He hears Daniel is looking for someone to adopt puppies from a dog that Daniel is taking care of and immediately volunteers, despite being terrified of dogs. He treasures his friendship with Daniel greatly. When Daniel buys some clothes for him in return, it's a fashion disaster due to Daniel's lack of fashion sense. But look at that face of joy and excitement as he insists on wearing it to walk his dogs. Lovable character 3. Zoe. Giving the girls some attention, Zoe is the best girl in the series. Don't come at me. She starts off as a superficial flirt that constantly tries to get hot Daniel's attention. However, she soon forms a bond with not hot Daniel and comes to like him for his personality instead. Her internal struggle over which Daniel she prefers is adorable. She cemented her position as most lovable girl later on in the series, when she dates the school bully solely to protect not hot Daniel. She endures the fear and ridicule, keeping the truth about the relationship a secret even from her friends in order to protect the one that she loves. She won Best Girl right there and then for me. And lastly, there is Vasco. Oh, sweet Vasco. Vasco is the jacked, tattooed leader of the Burnt Knuckles, the toughest gang in the school. He's extremely intimidating at first glance, but oh my god, he is an adorable idiot with a heart of gold. And the contrast between his imposing persona and his real personality highlights just how adorable he is. Here is Vasco being a badass in a fight. And here is Vasco getting excited to go to the amusement park. Here is Vasco being the imposing leader of a street gang. And here is Vasco excited to celebrate his birthday at a picnic. Here is Vasco looking like the reincarnation of the god of war. And here is Vasco playing with a puppy. How can you not fall in love with this man? Okay, had a bit of a fanboy moment there and got carried away. The point I was trying to make is that the characters of Lookism draw you in with their charm, and you can't help but want to find out what happens next to them. Finally, Lookism's fights are so satisfying. Lookism has a rather generic formula when it comes to fights. Step 1. Introduce a new villain to the series. Step 2. Portray that villain as a terrible, terrible person. Step 3. Have someone from the J-High extended party defeat the villain. Rinse and repeat, and you have a rough structure for the arcs in Lookism. But what makes it stand out is Step 2. Lookism goes out of its way to portray its villain as true scum, the bottom of the barrel. This is usually done through character design and behavior. Look at the way the villains are drawn. They are extremely unnerving and creepy. It's not restricted to ugly characters as well. Good looking characters are also drawn in this style when they finally reveal their true nature. These characters are also selfish, entitled, and absolutely deplorable, with no redeeming qualities. They aren't made for you to empathize with. So when the climax of the story comes, and one of the J-High boys punched that arrogant prick in the face, breaking his nose and teeth, you can't help but go, yes! Oh god, so satisfying. They do this over and over and over again throughout the series, but it is equally satisfying each time. Now, I'm not saying that Lookism doesn't have more nuanced antagonists. They do, and many of them grow to eventually join the lovable gang later on in the series. But even when there is a nuanced antagonist in the arc, there will also be a piece of trash side villain to provide you the catharsis of watching a terrible human being get brutally injured. Lookism does try to delve into deeper themes throughout the series. In fact, the series' conflicts are often caused by flaws of society that the author wants to point out. The obvious one is Lookism, the prejudice or discrimination based on physical appearance. The entire setup of the series is to highlight the difference in experience one might face depending on your looks, especially in a beauty-focused society like Korea. Lookism also tries to tackle homelessness, exploitation of teens, bullying, and poverty throughout the series. However, most of these issues were confined to their short story arcs and were resolved neatly at the end, making it feel quite superficial to me. Lookism may not be the most nuanced series, but it is a hilarious, over-the-top, lovable series that's full of heart. Give it a shot, and who knows, you might find yourself with a guilty pleasure series as well. Desmond has the barrow in the marketplace. Molly is a singer in the band. Desmond says to Molly, "Girl, I like your face." And Molly says this as she takes him by the hand. Oh bloody, oh blada, life goes on, brah. La-di-da-di, life goes on. Oh bloody, oh blada, life goes on, brah. La-di-da-di, life goes on.